We wish to acknowledge that this video was produced on Treaty 6 territory. This territory has long been where various Indigenous peoples have come together to meet and gather. Diverse Indigenous groups have walked this territory for centuries, including the Nehewiak, the Dene, the Anishinaabe, the Nakota Iska, and the Niitsitastepe peoples. It is the home of the Métis people and one of the largest Inuit communities residing south of the 60th parallel. Coalitions Creating Equity recognizes the responsibility we need to learn the history of these lands for us to understand the present and actively work to dismantle the barriers imposed by historical and ongoing colonialism. Considering the topic of this documentary, we must also recognize that the experiences of Indigenous peoples as they pertain to hate crimes and incidents require a great deal more attention, understanding, and prioritization. The reporting of hate crimes to police in Canada increased by 72% from 2019 to 2021. A hate crime is a criminal offense, such as an assault, which is motivated by hate, bias, or prejudice, while a hate incident is a non-criminal action, such as a racial slur, which is motivated by hate, bias, or prejudice. Hate crimes and incidents can seriously hurt both the individuals directly targeted as well as their communities. However, there's something we don't really know that impacts people when they do choose to report these harmful experiences. What happens when someone reports a hate crime or incident?
I'm the chair of the Coalition Creating Equity for Edmonton and for Alberta. I have been involved with Coalitions Creating Equity for the last couple of years since I was in a second phase of the work of community coming together to share resources and to think about how to respond to hate crime and equity in the community. And this research has come out of it, which has been to really connect in a collaborative way in community and think about what are the issues that survivors of hate crimes are thinking about or need, and to hear their experiences.
And so when it came time to determine what my thesis would be, I worked alongside Coalitions Creating Equity to determine what kind of research would be of benefit to people impacted by these issues.
And so it's working alongside community, working with community, hearing what community defines as their most urgent and pressing issues and problems, and their successes and what they're proud of. You work alongside to collect information, data, and you say, okay, well, help me understand this. Help me understand this according to your lived experience.
We know that there are no standalone hate crime definitions in the Canadian Criminal Code, but there are a few specific types of crimes that are covered in the code that we call hate crimes. And then in addition to that, we also have hate incidents. So we know that there are lots of different things that people can do that aren't necessarily illegal, but are still motivated by hate towards someone's identity. And that can still cause a great deal of harm to individuals and communities, even if they don't break the law. And because we know that both these crimes and these incidents cause a great deal of harm to both people and their broader communities, I think it's really important that we, as a society, prioritize addressing them and preventing them. So we spoke to 18 people who had experienced hate crimes and incidents in Edmonton and reported them here. And we wanted to hear about what their experience was when they made these reports, how organizations responded to them.
My name is Donald Morin. I'm an interdisciplinary artist, filmmaker, actor, singer, songwriter. I was a modern dancer for 12 years, did radio. I'm now a grandpa and a proud father of a young native man who doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs, been married 17 years, and that's probably the proudest thing I can have. A non-Aboriginal young woman came after me and pepper sprayed me right in the eyes because I asked the driver, I told the driver it's really important that we all wear masks. Can you ensure that? It was during the time of the pandemic. So she called me, stupid Indian and pepper sprayed me.
So my name is Stanislav. I was born originally in Israel, and my family is from Ukraine. I came to Canada when I was about like 11 years old. Currently, I'm just doing my master's in counseling, so hopefully I'll be done in about a year and then become a counselor. And yeah, I'm married, I have 2 kids, and I'm Muslim as well. I became Muslim about like 7 years ago, and we invite people to Islam on White Avenue usually every week. Sometimes there's other people, but it's usually just me and my friend. And we've been doing it consistently for like 3 years, just me and him, pretty much just a little bit before COVID started. And so obviously, like not everybody is always so happy to see us there. When like we were standing there and then somebody just yelled like some remark and like flipped us off from his truck and then just kept driving. So like when this happened, like it's not the first time that has happened.
My name is Chevy Rabbit. I'm an advocate, an unexpected advocate, and that stems from a gay bashing incident when I was at the University of Alberta in my 4th year.
My name is V. Duncan. I was born in Williams Lake, BC. I'm half Shuswap, half Squamish. Both my parents are residential school survivors. I've spent, most of my life kind of moving around. I've gotten really connected with my traditional side lately, being more involved with sweats, ceremony, getting involved with helping the community. That's a big part of my life lately is outreach, feeding the community, giving back. One of the first hate crimes I tried to report was a long time ago. I was on ETS and I experienced some like brutal racism, and I thought that I could do something about it, or I thought something could get done. And when I talked to ETS, they told me to go and make a police report.
Speaking with these survivors and the other people we interviewed told us a lot. Firstly, we heard how organizations respond to reports of hate crimes and incidents does not reliably meet the needs of people victimized by these occurrences and can significantly impact survivors.
They basically said it's not worth the paperwork to make this report because nothing's going to get done of it and done from whatever it is that we're doing. And that's how I felt most of my life, is that any sort of racism that I face, whether it be with police or city officials or just anyone in general, I don't get heard.
Later on, I went home and told my wife about what happened, and she said like that she saw somewhere, I think on Facebook or somewhere, about this organization. And so they usually like deal with any of these type of issues related to Muslims, and they report about it. So she said like they're looking for any type of hate crime reports, and so she told me to make my report. So I wasn't even expecting in the first place to get a response. So I knew that all they wanted is just to collect data. So what I did, I made my report. There was no response at all. Like I think I might have just got an email saying that like they received my report, and that was about it. And like maybe in my mind I was kind of hoping that they would just like call me or message me or something and just ask me follow-up questions, but there was none.
I think ultimately there's some sense of immediacy with the initial reaction of the ambulance showing up and the police showing up, and they go through the motions, right? But then once any documentation has been done, it's like it disappears. Nothing came out after 2 years. Was very disappointing when they say all these things. Oh, we're going to find the perpetrator. We know who she is. But still nothing happens, right?
The experience was very new for the police. They did not know what they were doing. I did everything. I didn't get any victim services. I didn't get any help. I ended up just me and my family picking up the pieces of me. There was no support. There was a lot of support in talk, but in reality, there was not support. And then if like call it was a runaround.
It's really hard because like you have all these people that are like, we're all about reconciliation and making things right. But then when Indigenous people go up and try and say, hey, this is how we've been wronged, we get told it's not worth our time. And I think that's what affects Indigenous people the most, is that people tell us that it's not worth our time to go make a complaint, to go be heard.
Secondly, we heard that understandings and experiences of hate crimes and incidents and how organizations respond to them are based in living experiences of historical and ongoing systemic and societal discrimination.
And so hate is something that I've always had to navigate in my life since I was a child, on the playground, in life. It's normalized to me. And for me, I do walk around with compensation behaviors around fear or worry. Where am I going to? What's going to happen? And you never know when someone is going to come at you violently. And more often people come at you with microaggressions or different aggressions. You're always trying to manage that.
The guy came out, and he didn't point out my two other friends who were white. He came out and spoke to me directly and said that what I was doing was illegal, and pot was legal, or pot is legal. The fact that he harassed me and not my other two friends that were there, it's just the kind of shit that we deal with daily.
And so these kind of things that people do report, there's a lot more that happens. There are other instances that go on reported, but there's also other ones that are not particularly criminal in nature in terms of the occurrences, but they're just insensitive to people, insensitive to their beliefs and to their identity.
When you think about the hate of 16 foster homes between 18 months and 4 years of age, if anything, that was a hate crime. When you think about the hate that was given to a baby, child, me, and now I know why I was so angry and cold all those years, because of what was taken away from my sense of worth, the worthlessness. And when you think about hate and the police, the lack of inaction, why is that? Same thing in Vancouver 20 years ago. I'm walking down Kitsilano Street, right? And a little 4-year-old sees me, chugga, right? Where does that child learn that? From the parents, from the grandparents, and what's been taught through history about Aboriginal people. That the hate that was given to us in the history.
Thirdly, interpersonal relationships, existing knowledge and beliefs, and previous experiences influence people's choices to report a hate crime or incident.
And it's why Indigenous people don't want to go to these organizations. It's why we don't want to go to the hospital, why we don't want to go to the police. Because no matter where I go, I'm going to get profiled. At the end of the day, some of us just kind of give up and we're like, what's the point? You have all these people that are like, hey, we want to fight for your rights, but when it actually comes to our rights and how we feel, everything just gets swept under the rug.
When does something happen that's so bad, so aggressive and violent that someone might say, oh, well, that was a crime? There's so many hate incidences that happen that don't qualify as a crime. And then when I have to think of this as normal all the time, something I just have to deal with, do I want to go through the traumatic effort of going to services like police services who I don't always feel will see me, believe in me?
He came by and then he saw you guys don't believe in Jesus, or you say something about Jesus. So we told him we do believe in Jesus, we just don't believe he's God. And then I don't know what he was thinking, but he just grabbed my shirt and he was about to kind of try to punch me. But the moment I mentioned that I was gonna call the police, he let go and then he just started walking away. And I didn't report it because I didn't think it was a big deal. I live on White Avenue or close to it, so it wasn't such a big deal for me to have that encounter, because it's kind of expected.
I think it's changing now. There's more reporting, but it's still not there yet. In a lot of my the hate incidents I received, I have videos of it. But I didn't even bother reporting to the police because I'm in Wetaskiwin. I thought, what's the point? The whole process of reporting and a lot of time reinforcing trauma and re-traumatizing myself in a process of reporting, which I found, and no follow-through, no follow-up on to make sure I was okay.
People shared these stories with us in the hopes that things can be better than they are. So, what are we going to do about it?
Are you creating the kind of culture where you're actually backing them up? Like it's really not enough to say, okay, we see and hear you. You need to have people on the ground to support that person and come around them. I think it's actually the smaller grassroots community organizations that need to be supported, because that's where all the relationships are. That's where the trust is. And if more resources go there so that they have the ability to fill out and create that support, it's going to be more effective.
I think you have to have a tailored approach, an individual approach to each person, and that healing isn't linear.
I think one thing they could learn about is that it's really important to collect data in general, just so they can have something to base any type of behavior off of, or any type of like new legislation, new rules. And maybe another thing that they could learn from this experience and from other people's experiences is that at least having some sort of a follow-up, even just like an email acknowledging what happened to them, affirming their feelings and their negative experience, and giving them some resources as to what they can do about those experiences. So just giving legal information, legal kind of counseling would be also quite crucial, I feel, because not everybody is comfortable going to the courts and charging people and being there facing the criminals face to face again after that, if it was like a really serious crime.
So I feel like there's this overall system needs more care for the victim. There has to be some kind of support aftercare. Without the aftercare, that person can end up suiciding or killing themselves, or re-victimizing themselves through self-harm and addiction, which is often the case because they don't even recognize what they're going through.
I think the agencies that are there now need to take hate crime serious in the sense of making sure that all people are aware of what is a hate crime, in the sense of defining it in relation to the actions of the individuals in society today.
But of course, education only kind of relies on the goodwill of the individuals that receive this education to implement it. So there also has to be some structural elements to ensure that these services are high level of quality and consistency. And so some of that would mean having policies and procedures that lay out how people should respond to hate crimes and incidents in a trauma-informed way. And also there should be evaluation of these services to ensure that they do what they set out to do. We want to make sure that people receive timely, comprehensive, holistic, and high-quality services when they report a hate crime or incident. That they should be listened to and believed. So many people, when I spoke to them, that was their main thing that they wished had happened, was that people really understood what they were saying and believed them about their experience.
Most people that experience a hate crime just want to be heard. If nothing's done about it, nothing's done about it. But as long as someone hears us out and knows, hey, this is happening, it'll help the people going through it, especially Indigenous people